Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Slant Walk Sports. I'm Zachary,
I'm Kethan Babu.
and we have a pretty fun slate to talk about today. Miami gets back in the win column for the first time in a couple of months in football. It took a while, but we got there. We got hockey starting back up tonight and volleyball. So, Kethan, we start right off on the team looking to come up with football.
I agree, and I'll tell you what, I'm excited. I was excited for college football to be back, but action is what I'm missing the most, and we're getting back to it, man. I'm excited. It's not Tuesday night, but I'll take it.
um, Miami getting in that win column last week against Lindenwood, 38-0. Compelling win. It wasn't really close. I wasn't really that worried. I mean, it's Lindenwood. They have a good hockey team. They're FCS. I expected it.
That first drive, though, I remember seeing that first offensive drive, and I was like, "Hey," I turned to the photographer next to me. I said, "Hey, man, if we're struggling against Lindenwood, if we are getting forced to punt against an FCS team, like we'd have no chance against Northern Illinois. We had no chance against, Ohio in a couple weeks. Like that was sketchy, but they really got their foot together in the second quarter and then onward."
Yeah. So the big storyline of this game was Daquan Finn was out. He was there on the sideline. I believe he had a concussion.
Yeah.
I don't know his status for this week. Is he going?
He was practicing this week, so he suited up and he was, taking passes, taking throws on Wednesday. So from what I can tell, they're still trying to decide if they want to start him or Hessen, but he is like on the field, like he's not regulated to the sideline anymore, which is good to see.
Perfect. And then last week, Henry Hessen had a pretty good game. He had pretty efficient 13 for 21, 208, 2 touchdowns, and then ran a little bit.
Really good for his second start of his career, and this is his fifth year here. Second start since 2023, even. Like he played a great game, and again, that first drive we don't talk about it because it was a little questionable, but he really found his footing. He loves Cam Perry. He connected with him twice for 60+ yards and 2 touchdowns. So you love to see it. You love to have a guy that's been with the program for so long, that has been a backup for so long, and seeing him get a start like that at home for homecoming, you can't write it any better.
It's also great to see Cam Perry score on those long catches because he had one versus Rutgers when it went like 55 yards or something,
He
and
couldn't close the deal.
I
Yeah.
think he had one last year too where it was a long catch, but he fell short like the 5.
Mhm.
So it's good to see him score on those long balls, and then on the ground too. Kenny Tracy, I mean, he showed up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He showed up, and he had a minor mistake against UNLV, that what was it, 50-yard rush in the fourth quarter that ended in a fumble. So it's nice to see him rebound and not carry that weight, and play good against an FCS team. Over 100 yards, 1 touchdown. And then later in the game when Jordan Brunson got in, I was always asking, like, where's he been? But he got involved as well later in the game on the
Yeah.
ground.
Looking back a little bit at that UNLV game, not to just pity on the past, but I mean, it was that was a rough game. I mean, there
Oh,
was
my God.
we had a kick return touchdown, then we had the
Deflected interception.
yes, there
Yep.
was multiple interceptions, and then they scored a good amount of points unanswered. It was back and forth, and with 11 seconds left, the fact that we even had the chance to attempt like a long field goal was astonishing to me. And the fumbled snap and bad hold
Yeah.
was put a dent into that.
It was key offensive and defensive mistakes. I think the team as a whole, took their foot off the gas for some reason. If you have two 14-point leads at two separate points in the third quarter, how is it that you're down when the clock runs zero? You know, and I don't know if they got tired, they got winded, or UNLV made a strong adaptation. I didn't see anything that they were doing ridiculously different compared to the rest of the game, but taking that last field goal with 20 seconds on the clock, it was sad to see. The stadium was quiet. You were there.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
quiet after that.
It was the defense had their moments, but they also didn't. I mean, looking at the stats, UNLV running back Jaden Thomas. I mean, he had 13 carries. He had 120. That's almost 10 yards a carry.
Mm.
Popping one for 33 yards too. I mean, that 10 yards a carry for their number one running back. That's just not going to get it done. I mean, like you're not going to win a game when it's close and they're because setting up those long runs it just sets up play action. And Miami got beat. I mean, Anthony Colandrea, he threw 29 43, 293 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had the 2 picks. But keep in mind, this is also the backup. I mean, they didn't envision him playing at all this year. They had Alex Orji from Michigan who got hurt. But I mean, if you bring someone in from Michigan, you know, Colandrea probably at the start of the season didn't think he was going to see much time, and they had to put him in. I believe they're currently I think their win versus us was 4-0. I don't know if they won last week.
Let's check real quick because they were one of the only undefeated teams left, and
yeah, they've had a pretty good year. And I mean, don't forget they were ranked last year.
They had a bye week, I think.
They're 4-0, and they're going against Wyoming. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
And it was a good game for them, obviously, both sides of the ball. That they just outplayed us in some aspects of the game. But as a big story here is how many flags there were. I mean, you remember how many flags there were for both offense and defense?
Well, there was a lot in the trenches. I mean, there was a lot of false starts. There was offside.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one drive where it was just like there was like 3 of them.
Oh yeah,
like it was, and Chuck was not happy.
No, that's just not efficient football. That's not even the other opponent is doing better than you or they're catching you off guard. That's just you're shooting yourself in the foot. And they do that more than just the flags. They do that a lot of times. But, you can't give up, 9 flags for 80 yards or whatever the final stat was. I don't have the stat sheet with me.
Looking at it right here. Also, in the first Lindenwood one, I forget who it was. It was one of our defensive backs. It was like a 3rd and 10. The ball, it was a deep pass. Lindenwood sailed it over the receiver's head. We got called for a pass interference for defensive holding.
Oh yeah,
I was right near Chuck, and he was going at it. I mean, he was not happy. We won 38-0 this past week, but like the score could have been ramped up more. To end the first half, we had the drop touchdown in the end zone, easy catch, and then the missed points right after on the field goal to hit the uprights from 20 yards out.
Yeah.
So the score could have definitely been higher, but I mean it was a convincing win.
It was just critical mistakes, against UNLV. That's a game that they don't want to remember. That's a game that I haven't seen Chuck Martin so emotional after a game, or maybe emotional is not the right word. So aggravated after a game, compared to that. Even Ohio, I would say he was more aggravated here because it's a game that they easily should have won, and they didn't. But getting that win against Lindenwood, Chuck doesn't believe in momentum. He says that he takes it 1 week at a time, and the last week is not even in his brain anymore. I personally disagree. I think momentum is a huge part of this. I think if they lose against Lindenwood, that's going to rest on their head of like, oh man, we went 0-4. We haven't gone 0-4 in a while. So how are you going to beat NIU now?
Yeah, it's hard to look at just because this team starts the way every year. They're playing these good out of conference teams, and they like we talked about before. I mean, Wisconsin, they lost. We somewhat expected it, but it still sucks. And then you have these other opponents, and then they beat the hell out of an FCS school like they should. I mean,
yeah,
we're just in the MAC championship, and then go back to the MAC play, and we'll see how they they stand up. NIU, and some of these teams, if they make these crucial mistakes, they're not going to have a chance against OU.
No, because
that's what's so frustrating.
Yeah, and this NIU team, I mean, I don't know what the spread is exactly, but they have the Huskies have struggled on offense.
I think we're 4.5 favored.
Okay, their last game was 6-3 against San Diego State, 6-3. So, oh man, and I talked with the NIU sports editor for their student newspaper. Their quarterback, I mean, he's gotten 4 games down, but he has underperformed in multiple aspects of the game. I think he has 1 or 2 passing touchdowns on the year and a couple picks to go along with it. It's like this is a team. Again, I don't believe in expectations, especially with MAC play. I think anything can happen. It doesn't matter what happened the previous week. But this is a must-win game for the Red Sox to get off to a hot start. Because remember last year they went to Toledo for their first MAC game of the year and they lost that. And I think if you win that and then you go on the 7-win game streak, you don't lose Ohio and Detroit. I think the Toledo game was really a sign of like this team is still shaking up. This team still needs to get it together. and they weren't ready to face an Ohio team like that.
Yeah, and I mean these next couple of weeks are going to tell a lot. Either we're 1-3 right now. One or two more losses, and it's going to be hard to get back into that MAC championship, regardless of who out of these next games who we beat and who we lose to. You're not going to get in. I mean, the way OU's playing, you're not going to be playing them if we have 5 or 6 losses.
That's right. And I think the good thing is the front half is significantly easier than the back half. NIU, and they've struggled on offense. Akron, that should be a win for us. Eastern Michigan at home should be a win for us. Western Michigan at home. But then you start to look at that November play. You have Ohio University on the road on a Tuesday night. Toledo comes here. I think it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. And then Buffalo on a Wednesday night on the road. That second half, that when the temperature's dropping and the games are going to be played in the dark instead of in the middle of the day or with the sun still out, is going to be significantly more difficult once November hits. So these next couple of games are going to tell a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about those late night games, like plays that happen against Lindenwood, UNLV, like the kick return and stuff like that. When that stuff happens, I mean, we have to keep our foot on the gas because it's not. When those things do happen, and you get good points out of them, you can't let the other team come back and just score, and then have the mistake of fumbling the last couple of minutes. I mean, because I was a firm believer if we didn't fumble there versus UNLV, we could have take the time down and got a field goal with very little on the clock left.
Obviously, absolutely.
It didn't work out that way, but we were in control, and that. It was a good run too. I was like, that was a gut puncher.
Oh yeah, because he took up down the field. I'm like, all right, this is great for us. He's in opposing territory now. The clock's running down. We still hold our timeouts if we need to use them, but we obviously don't need to use it in that scenario. And then he drops the ball, and it's like again, I strongly believe in momentum. I know Martin does not, but that is a momentum annihilation right there. When you fumble the ball, not far into opposing territory, it was at the 40. So they're already at a good field position, and they just need to go down and kick a field goal to take the lead with 30 seconds on the clock. Oh, it sucks the air out of the room.
And I'm looking back at the play-by-play, but I remember that last drive for Lindenwood that they had like a 3rd and 10. It was like a 37-yard pass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find that back.
I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, you can't give up big plays like that in crucial games like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a 3rd and 6, and it was a 37-yard pass to our 42. And then they had another 3rd and 6. And then they ran it down to 18 and they kicked it. Yeah, I mean that 3rd and 6, they had how much time was on the clock? I think that was right after the 2-minute warning.
Mm-hmm.
You stop them there, you get the ball back. They're on their own. I think they were on their own 21. So, I mean, you do the math. They on their own 20, 4th down, they punt it. We're at our own, 30, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the stuff that you're going to look back on, when we get deeper into this MAC play. And, we're right on the edge of, the top of the teams, and we're kind of, near the middle. And you look back and, this is our win. I think
if we win that game, where would we
I think I turned to you right after the game, and I said they didn't win it. We lost it.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the good news is, though, that the season really starts now. You can take the non-conference slate as its own season, and the season truly starts this weekend, or I guess tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they need to learn from their mistakes, obviously, and I think players are getting a little more comfortable. I mean, the story of the season so far has been how many new players are on the roster or starting on the field. So they're a little more comfortable, but you're going on the road against a MAC team. You can't rely too much on what you did well last week, and you can't reflect too much on what you did badly a couple weeks ago. You gotta take it like today is a new day.
And I think, realistically looking forward to get back to Detroit, I think they have to go 6-2 or 5-3.
Oh yes,
I mean,
easily.
They 6-2 would put them at 7-5,
mm-hmm.
and 5-3 would put them at 6-6. I mean,
you can't make it to Detroit 6-6. Not with the way our conference is.
That's such a killer. I mean, that's why the UNLV game is so important, because it tips the scale. I mean, then we're 2-2, and
mm-hmm.
you go 6-2 here, and you're 8-4. Like you get in with that. Like it's just that's such a it it kind of sucks because it displays Miami in such like a it just doesn't give it like us the best light because then you have like we're not a bad MAC team, but then you look at our record like someone I'm just making up like a student that goes to Ohio State whatever, and you look at Miami and they're 1-3, but like for the MAC we're not bad. It just it's just I don't know. It's how it plays out and it sucks.
Oh yeah, and then you look at I have Ohio University schedule pulled up. They start with Ball State this weekend on the road, and then NIU, Eastern Michigan, us, Western Michigan, UMass, Buffalo. But that schedule and the way that they're playing right now, they could easily go 7-0 or 6-1. Like I don't see them losing many of these games. I don't think they're better than I don't think Ball State's better than them. I don't think NIU's better than them. Eastern Michigan. Hopefully, we can win this one on the road. But you look at their schedule. I mean, they're probably making it to Detroit. If I had to put money on it, I would assume they would. And for us, I would say 2 losses at the absolute most. And even then, if we lose twice and Toledo or another dark horse like Buffalo comes out of nowhere, we don't make it to Detroit. I think we shot ourselves in the foot a little bit. But again, it's the MAC. Anything can happen. So we'll just take it one game at a time.
Yeah, and I remember texting you before the OU OSU game, and I was like, obviously Ohio State's going to win, but I'm very curious to see how they match up. And they played. I mean,
They didn't play bad at all. Yeah.
OU I think gave Ohio State the hardest one of the year. They won by less against Washington last week. But Ohio State, that first half, they played well, and then they came out the second half. I forget what I think it was like 13-3 or something, and they got a touchdown like right off the bat. I mean, they had it within a 1-score game, and then obviously Ohio State did what Ohio State does and ran away with it.
But, I mean, what was it, 37-9?
They gave them some problems.
Yeah, I mean, you go up against a team that's undefeated, the reigning national champions, on the road against an Ohio State team whose football budget is like a quarter of some of these schools' entire budgets over the whole year, and you kind of give them a run for their money. I mean, 9-37 is not bad at all. Like you look at that as any other teams, like if Alabama lost 37-9 to Ohio State, then yeah, we'd make fun of them. For Ohio University to do that, they're easy. They could easily go, well, whatever, 13-1 or whatever their final will be, 12-2 or whatever.
It's looking at the box score, which I haven't actually looked at for this OU Ohio State game. I mean, Ohio State pretty much dominated. I mean, Jeremiah Smith 9 for 153 and a touchdown. But I mean, in OU standards, like they played it. I knew they would keep it close. I mean, yeah, after going into half, it was 13-3, and then going to the fourth, it was 23-9. So they had it within 2 touchdowns going in the fourth quarter, and then Ohio State scored 2 and got the game sealed. But I mean, I'll just put it like this: if Miami keeps playing the way they are and with these mistakes, like we have no chance.
We have no chance, and we're going on the road against them on a Tuesday night, our first midweek game. Again, Ohio University could easily be 3-0 or 4-0 in conference play at that point. They're scary, man.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna. I'm optimistic. I think this team can turn it around. I don't think the 0-3 start, represents this team well. It never does. Obviously, starting with 2 Big Ten teams, and then a team that is, we did lose to UNLV. We blew that game, but they are a good team. It's not like we got blown out. We lost by 3, which sucks. You want to have that one back.
Yeah.
But they are a good team, and in terms of rankings, they could find they could be a sneaky team to make the top 25 at some point if they keep winning.
I agree. I think the good news is you saw what happened last year when they started 1-3. You saw what happened last year when they lost badly to Cincinnati, and then even worse to Notre Dame, and then just skated by with a win against UMass that they probably should have lost.
Yeah,
they still made it to Detroit. So I think it's a good sign of just how unpredictable we are, how unpredictable the conference is. And I say, you could easily go 7-1 or 6-1. We could just as easily go 6-1, 7-1. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility for us. I'm just curious what the team's going to look like, a month and a half from now. Is it going to be completely different? Will Hessen be just starting every game? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean I think that's one of the areas where they missed Finn. Because just to have that that connection with Tracy. I mean, Tracy had an amazing day, but just to have Finn's legs on the ground, obviously versus Lindenwood, it's not going to be the biggest difference. But versus these other teams, I mean, you want I mean, obviously it's way down the line, but like for Ohio and Toledo, like you want Finn playing his absolute best. Like you want him to be like mid-season form and like connecting on all fronts. So I think maybe give him another week off, but like against Akron and then for that 2 week home span against Eastern Michigan and Western Michigan, like you want him going and you want him slinging it because those are the games I'm looking at where he gets his confidence up, and this offense is rolling. So against OU, it's not come out flat; it's come out slinging.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I almost say hold them at least this week. NIU and Akron, those are must-win games, but they're not our toughest games on the schedule. And I
Yeah,
think coming back home against Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, and then going on the road against Ohio University, you want Finn to not be 80% healthy, not be 90% healthy. You want him to be 100% ready to go and not injured, not concerned about any injuries, whatever at all. So if I were Chuck Martin, I would hold him this week, but time will tell. We'll see, I guess, 24 hours from now.
yeah. I mean, if you have Kenny Tracy running the way he is, and Hessen's efficient, I mean, keep him out there for another week. Give Finn that time. And then once Finn gets back, it's you have it's win. Like you have to win. You can't lose to EMU or Western Michigan. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to.
Or even start Hessen, and then if that's not working, then you put Finn in. I don't think they need to rely on Finn as a starter this weekend. I don't think this weekend is a game where if Finn is not on the field that we're going to lose. I think Hessen can do perfectly fine against NIU Akron. I love him. I think he's great. I think he's on par with Finn as far as talent, as far as throwing ability. He's not as mobile, but neither was Gabbert, and look how good Gabbert was and how renowned he is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think these next couple of weeks are going to be big. Need the wins, and especially, I mean, well, OU can rack up a loss or two before we get to them. That'll definitely help our case.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on from football, let's look at this volleyball team. They unfortunately lost last night, but they are overall 8-7, 2-1 in conference play.
Which is great to see because you go with Dan Gwit under his first year. I don't know what the expectations were last season, but it surely was higher than what the final output was. So it is amazing to see the team have that success. Not only have that success, but win these games by close margins and then dominate in other forms. The close margin was against, I believe, Akron, and then Buffalo. They blew out 3-0. They play Ohio State here and set a record for attendance, so they take them to 3-2. So when you can play a Big Ten team like that, a power program like that, and force it to 5 sets, that's a great sign of not only the program this year, but the future of it. And a lot of the players are young as well on this roster. So it shows that next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, team's going to be scary.
Yeah, and I mean, I was unfortunately losing last night 1-3, but they play another close. They play NIU tonight.
Another
So
top team
NIU
in the
comes
conference.
back,
Yep.
we get them. So hopefully we can, right that ship from last night. It's the volleyball games. I've been to a couple. They draw a decent crowd. Obviously it's hard to get students to a Tuesday night volleyball game.
Any athletic event here. We're
Yeah,
just not that
I
kind
know.
of school.
I mean, the football game last week and for UNLV. I mean, after half. Well, last week there wasn't much crowd to begin with, but after half, I mean it
Gone. Yeah.
it depletes quick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always, I mean, because you look at our future games, you always want it to be busier, but I think our only hope, and not our only hope, but packing out these games, I think it's hockey and men's basketball. I think those are
Oh, yes.
the two biggest. And hockey starts tonight. I think those are the two biggest draws. I mean, some of those basketball games last year, they got pretty
Oh,
pretty
100%.
packed.
The Ohio University game was packed. Kent State was packed. I forget. I think it was Ball State towards the end of the season. But yeah, when they can get a good crowd, I mean, the energy is just so unreal. You got players dunking that you've never seen dunk before, just because the attendance is there, and they want to put on a show for the crowd, and they're up. I imagine if you look at the score margin, it's probably significantly higher when the attendance is over average for us.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think those games draw the biggest. And looking at hockey, I mean, we had I think we had like the fourth best recruiting in the country. I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
With
if you got an email updates from MiamiRedHawks.com every day, new addition to the hockey roster, new addition, welcome a new face to the roster.
yeah.
So this team is not the same as last year.
I'm hoping Coach Marine can turn that ship around, because last year, I mean, they
Oh
had some
boy.
games where they completely lost it, but the depressing part was they had games that, I mean, they were up. We were up like I think it was like 2-0 or something like that, and there was like 10 minutes left in the game, and we lost like 4-2.
Oh yeah, there were multiple games where we should have won and it was a close game, and then third period we just kind of gave up.
Yeah,
And you look at the final record and you think this team sucks. It's not even that. It's just they make too many small mistakes. And again, you're looking at a coach that's in his first year at the helm who is inheriting a program and he doesn't have that much influence on changing it for this past season. Now you look into this 2025-26 season, it could be a different story. At the same time, the other teams in the NCHC have adapted their roster and brought in a whole lot of players that they're brand new as well. But I'm excited, man. I think that this team's going to be fun to cover. And as a senior, I need to see some good hockey before I get out of here.
yeah. And I think I'm hoping that starts tonight. I think it's Fair State, I believe.
Fair State, yep.
Fair
Tonight and
State.
tomorrow.
The opener. I think for a bit, the whole opener will draw a good crowd. I'm hoping until it gets later in the year. But I mean, I think this is a big weekend if they can come out and split the series or win both, and there's a good amount of fans there. I think it only sets them up to come back.
Well, yeah, because this is probably going to be. I would say this is our highest attended sport. For some reason, people here like hockey more than any other sport. You go
Yeah,
to Goggin in January and February, it's still going to be pretty packed. Not full capacity, but it'll be packed. And tonight's probably going to be our highest attended one, and it's going to show. Like if you not only lose, if you lose badly or if you tie when you should have won, you're going to lose so much support from the students,
yeah.
especially.
Because if they can keep it, I mean, even like hopefully we don't lose, obviously, but like even like a 2-3 loss, like late in the third, like I think something just to keep an exciting game.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Big hit,
make it a close game.
following through on hits, stuff like that. Obviously, hockey's always going to get a crowd from the people, the local people in Oxford. There's always a lot of kids there. I know some professors go, stuff like that. It's always a fun event. I mean, Goggins always, if you walk, I have a broomball class in there. If you walk in there, I mean, randomly, there's if you go in there like a random Tuesday night, there's always like these small teams that have like these little like 8U teams have games there. All those locker rooms. There's always random nights where it's just popping. Just because it's the hockey rink in town. So I'm hoping this team can draw up some momentum. Start off right, start on the right foot, because last year, I mean, it can't get much worse. I'll say that.
No, it cannot. It's similar to volleyball, though, and volleyball's doing all right for themselves. So
Yeah.
I hope that, new roster, second year, you got 1 year under your belt of what the conference and what Miami looks like. Put on a good product, I don't know if we'll make the postseason, but put a good product forward, and I think you'll attract viewers for the program for many years.
I think for this team, I think just stacking more wins, even if you don't make it all the way, is good. And we had like 3 or 4 wins last year.
I'll say just win more games than last year, please. Yeah, that's really all I want.
And that's a low bar. I'll say that.
Yeah, right.
Let's just hopefully we start on the right foot for hockey. So tonight in Oxford, there's hockey, volleyball, hockey tomorrow night, I believe.
Yep. And football tomorrow afternoon. That's
yes.
3:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus, I imagine.
stacked weekend here in Oxford.
And then pretty soon basketball. We're only a month away from basketball starting
Yeah.
too. It's going to be an exciting time. I'm ready.
The men's, I was talking to the Miami SID. The men's home out of conference schedule is coming out soon.
Okay.
Obviously, the women's one is out. But for first semester, students here, hopefully that second that schedule comes out. Get some hype behind it. I'm excited. I think this season is going to be really fun. Hopefully they build off last year and make it back to the MAC title game. And I like those fun games. There's a couple games that I didn't work. I was there as a fan. It was I forget. It was which one went to overtime?
Kent State.
Kent State. That was a really
matchup.
fun. I mean, that was packed.
It was packed, and Ian Elmer put on a amazing performance to tie the game and then to win it in overtime. I mean,
yeah.
We don't often get on ESPN top plays. I want to say that game he had the dunk that made it to ESPN top plays.
I think it was 2 or something.
Did we have 2?
I'm gonna try to look that up
because he had one dunk and it's a phenomenal play, and it did make it on SportsCenter or ESPN top plays of the week. I think it was Kent State. Maybe it was a different game.
Oh, it was the number 1 dunk on SportsCenter top 10. That's what it has it as.
Yep. You haven't pulled up.
That's the one on Toledo. I think one of the Toledo ones did it. And then.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're talking. Yeah.
And another one was Kent State. Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more of that this year, and I think if they can pack Millette again, it's only going to get better.
Oh yeah, and again, I'm speaking selfishly as a senior. I watched this team freshman year, sophomore year when they weren't doing as great. Junior, they played phenomenal, but they just couldn't close the deal in Cleveland. One more year around the block, man. Like, can we please just finish the deal? Just play some exciting basketball. I love Travis Steele. I love the returners that are coming back, and you don't have to see it. You see a lot of times where players have a good performance and then they transfer out. We saw a couple of players do that, but a guy like Peter Suter, he could easily transfer out, but he's staying. Antoine Wolfork is staying. Evan Pissarro, Ian Elmer, they all could easily transfer to a power program and maybe ride the bench, maybe don't get starting time, but they are all staying here. They believe in something about Oxford or about Miami. So I just want to see a good season.
Yes, I 100% agree. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that wraps up today. Hopefully Miami can get back on track and keep that win column rising tomorrow at NIU. We got hockey tonight and volleyball. Hopefully it's a good weekend here in Oxford. So with that, I'm Zach.
I'm Kethan.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.